Hello, everyone. This is Bill DiOrio speaking to you from an undisclosed location in North Boulder. And as promised, I wanted to talk to you about another bill that Junie Joseph sponsored in the House and was signed by the governor. This is House Bill 241170. And this bill is it's called the Bill of Rights for Inmates in Youth Services. But it just is, to me, one more example of kind of the overreach that the left wing always likes to insert into our lives. It takes an organization, a large facility like a youth services facility, and just suddenly the whole organization has got to bend itself to the will of a very small minority based on very badly defined and unconventional, let's say, behavioral practices and identity. You'll see what I mean. So here, Junie signed this thing, and again, the idea is to enhance the youth services and for kids between 10 and 21 years old. And again, to create a non-traumatic environment for these kids, and to create, again, this Bill of Rights for youth in care of the Division of Youth Services. This all sounds great, but when you look at exactly what kind of rights they're talking about and exactly how what type of behavior this bill is nurturing, and how disruptive it's going to be to the smooth running of the institution as a whole, I think you'll see that it's just pouring fuel on the fire of confusion, discontent, and dysphoria in the part of kids that are already they've been spent their entire school lives in public school being bombarded with the notion that the LGBT agenda is the only way to go, and we must all welcome and affirm it, and that any kind of appeals to traditional morality in this area is just nonsense. So these kids have gone through their whole education being told that, and now if they somehow they end up in the youth services system, they're going to get told the same thing in spades, and they're the ones that are going to be given power over the facility based on their kind of like little deviant types of behavior. There are basically six sections to this bill. The first is a general section. Again, a lot of this stuff I just cannot believe that it is necessary to specify that kids in youth services are to be treated with dignity. Are we saying that that prior to this bill, the kids were treated with insulting behavior and denigrated, so the kids were free to practice their religious faith? Are you saying that the kids in the youth services now aren't given access to chaplain services and things like that? And of course, then if this is really what they're aiming at, is to be to enshrine the whole notion of gender orientation and sexual identity as a protected class of people in these facilities, so that a very small percentage of people are given an ability to manipulate things out of proportion to their actual population. And also, it also encourages kids to adopt these kind of deviant identities because it gives them the power. So the second category is more of a general types of rights, access to media, access to your own records, be able to make phone calls. I don't know what the existing rules are on these things. The kids in youth services not given access to phones, physical exercise. Kids, I mean, are you telling me that kids in youth services do not aren't encouraged to exercise daily? I would think they'd be out there exercising their tails off. And one of the rules is to be informed of the facility's rules, so that the inmate is to be informed of the rules, and upon request, I presume, of the inmate or the youth, the copy of the rules be given to the parent or legal guardian. And that is the only time the parent or legal guardian show up in this document. And it's not giving them the rights to consult with and to be part of the treatment regime for the youth. It's just they can be if the youth wants them to have a copy of the rules, they get it, and that's the last time I see them. And giving a right to live in a trauma-responsive environment. And again, are we saying that the existing? I mean, there's obviously trauma everywhere, but I can't imagine that our existing facilities are encouraging trauma. Now, in terms of medical care, now of course here the kids are given access to health care and behavioral care. Don't they have that now? Is it necessary that? Are you saying that the Department of Human Services is running youth services facilities, and they're not providing health care to the kids or behavioral services? I just can't believe that. The kids are given the right to receive medicines in order to substance withdrawal and medical assisted treatments. That seems reasonable. But they're also given the right to refuse the administration of any pharmaceutical product, which I think that can be a problem, because if a minor has got a medical condition that requires a certain prescription be taken, and they can simply decide not to do it, that can create a lot of problems. A lot of these medications are necessary for the stability of the person. And of course, all the kids have the right to pregnancy health care and pregnancy and reproductive health. And to me, that's what that is the right for abortions, because the whole buzzword of the left when it comes to reproductive health is, i.e., abortion services. So it sounds like kids in these facilities are being the right to receive abortions. And of course, pregnancy tests and the results are kept confidential. So depending on exactly how that's interpreted, it sounds to me as if they're saying a 16-year-old girl or 15-year-old girl can be in a facility and be pregnant and receive an abortion, and the parents are never ever informed. That's so typical of the overreach of the way the state sees individuals as being owned by the state, not by their families. And of course, as always, every kid in the facilities has access to gender-affirming health care. Again, this is gender-affirming health care. These girls, good luck. So gender-affirming health care, if you look it up, it can include anything from psychological counseling to drugs, hormone therapy, to radical surgery, as those in the case of those two young ladies. It sounds like this bill is saying that the state must provide gender-affirming health care to the kids in its care, and all this stuff must be kept confidential. Tell me I'm wrong, Junie. Tell me I'm wrong. Then Section 4 is legal issues, giving kids access to courts, the Office of Child Protection Ombudsman, which is good. I think they already have access to the Office of Ombudsman, and can't they already file complaints? Filing grievances. I can't believe this is necessary. It's probably going to create a lot of busy work. Now here's this now again another just troublesome set of rights under physical custody. What the bill is saying is that individuals who come into a facility have a right not to be placed in housing based on their sexual orientation or status as a transgender, non-binary, or an intersex youth. So they can't have a dormitory or facility that's reserved just for transgender, non-binary, and intersex. These guys have got to be housed with the general population. But in addition, you can't conduct searches that are aimed to identify the actual physical gender of the individual. You've got to take their word for it. And you can't, if someone identifies as transgender, you can't put them into the transgender dorm. You've got to, if a guy identifies as a transgender woman, you've got to place him in the population with the girls. I think that's what this is saying. I don't know what. I don't know any other way to interpret it. And then after the person's after the person's gender is reviewed and approved, and again, they don't specify how that happens. Then the facility has to use the use preferred name and gender, even if not legally updated. So, if somebody comes in and they claim that they are a trans girl, I don't see how the facility can refuse to identify them as such. And the clothing must be identified, must be appropriate to their gender identity. Again, there's 30 different gender identities. I don't know how you specify specific clothes for them all. Now here, the personal appearance of the youth's choosing, including facial and head hair, regardless of the youth's gender or gender identity. So a male who comes in and tells the facility that he's identifying as a trans woman, if he has a beard, he's got to be allowed to keep the beard and still be recognized as a trans woman. Boy, I would just, God help you if you have if your daughter ends up in youth services. Participating activities, okay. Searches that take into account the youth's privacy, including his cross-gender searches and searches of transgender youth, they must be conducted by people who match his identity. So that means that if somebody identifies as one of these oddball genders, you've got to find somebody that matches. Or if, let's just say somebody's a trans woman, you have to have a trans woman on the staff who can conduct searches. So after review and approval and an intake and search with an employee matching the youth's gender identity. So again, review and approval by whom and on what basis, especially if you can't conduct a physical exam in order to identify the gender. And so showers and bathrooms consistent with the youth's gender identity. That'll be interesting. Again, it's just like it's like herding cats, and again, it's encouraging people to take advantage of these rules in order to basically gain power over the system. You'll get whatever you nurture, you get more of. So, and then there's educational services. I don't know what the current policies are on education. I can't imagine they don't provide high school classes for these kids. So anyway, so again, this is the kind of legislation I would oppose if you send me. It's the kind of statist confiscation of rights from the family and the individual to the state, isolating children from their family. I would oppose this from the get-go, and if you send me to the state legislature, you can be sure I will never support legislation like this. So thanks a lot, and God bless.